Hello, Troy here with SFP Nostalgia Motorsports. You might recall on a recent episode of The Exhaust Stroke, I challenged myself to finding a project car for $2,000 or less. Well, I cut that budget in half with the latest project car that I've got right behind me here. I'd like to introduce you to the Filthy Falcon. Do we need to move the ramps at all?
I think we're good.
Okay, I'll probably have to turn this direction.
Once it gets up.
Once it gets up here.
Yeah, you might need a front end alignment.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
You ready?
Yep. Under the hood is basically as bare bones as you can get, except for power steering. So it's an inline six, it's 170 cubic inch, it's never been modified. The only thing that's different in this engine compartment than what would be original is an electric fuel pump that was used just to get the thing running a little bit by the previous owner. It wasn't used for driving on the street, so I will be installing a brand new mechanical pump. The other thing is it has a dual pot master cylinder because these were single reservoir from the factory. And the conversion was done. It's not a super clean looking conversion, so I will be working through those details and cleaning that up. And I'll put a new master cylinder on it anyway. This one's looking pretty old, and as soon as I'd get it on the road, it would probably start leaking. This car still has its original generator on it. These cars do not use alternators in this year, so it's actually a generator, so that's something I will be upgrading on this car in the future, unlike the 61 Skylark, which I'm keeping that one all original just because of how nice the engine compartment is. But that's not the intent for this car, and we'll get to that soon. Sometimes the best part of a brand new project that you first brought home is seeing what's in the trunk. You never know what kind of gems or what kind of gold you can find in your trunk. So in here it looks like I've got some, here we have the filler necks
for this car,
for the gas. We have headlights, headlight buckets, the headlight bezels or trim rings for around the headlights. We got our marker lights and all the stuff that looked like it was missing off the front. Pull this out. We have bumper brackets in here. Some coil springs. This car actually has the front coil springs cut So these will come in very handy. These are just stock 6-cylinder springs that came with the car. Got some old crusty shock absorbers that are probably totally shot. Some miscellaneous trim. We've got the jack in here. What else do we have in here? An old ratchet shifter. Brake parts. So we have brake shoes in here. And, oh, whoa, what's this? Stetson. So, wow, that's awesome. How does this smell? Oh, man, yeah. Man, Stetson's good. All right, what else do we have in here? We have Puff Daddy and the Family. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is some good stuff in here. Miscellaneous motor mounts are in here also. So I'll have to go through this stuff here really closely and see what stuff is good to, what's salvageable and what isn't. Oh, it looks like a bunch of miscellaneous brake components. The interior of the Filthy Falcon is by no means pretty. Now, I did clean off the driver's seat here because that's why I called it the Filthy Falcon. It was downright disgusting with anything you could think of on it. Mold, mildew, everything like that, like you'd find on older cars. I mean, I could call this a barn find, I guess. It was next to a barn anyway, but I'm not going to do that. I hate that term anyway. But I did wipe off the dashboard. These are all steel dash, except for the insert up there where the speaker would be and the defroster. No headliner in here. That was torn out probably years ago. I'm going to clean up the back seat. Take a little closer look in the interior here. So you can see how it's a very small gauge cluster. Kind of similar to the Galaxy, but just shrunken down a bit. Here's where the radio would have been, but no big deal. This car is probably going to get a radio delete plate right here. And I'm not sure yet about my heater controls and defroster controls. Absolutely, I will like to drive this car year-round, but also it depends how my heater controls are and things of that nature, whether or not I'm going to use them or remove them. Let's see what's in the glove box. What? No way. Preferred stock? Are you serious? We have Stetson in the trunk and preferred stock in the glove box. Wow. Whoever owned this car before was prepared. I like that. Well, this brings us to, why did I buy the Filthy Falcon and what are the plans for the car? Well, first of all, some people might ask, why did you buy a Ford? And I always say, well, why not? I have owned so many different cars. I've owned several Fords, I've owned AMCs, I've owned Mopars, I've owned Chevrolets. I've owned just about everything, and I love everything. I am probably one of the most non-brand loyal people out there when it comes to old cars. As far as new cars, they all suck. I don't like any of them. I don't like the Chevys, I don't like Fords, I don't like Mopars, I don't really like any of them. I am an old car person through and through. So, why did I buy the Ford? Because I absolutely wanted one of these platforms. I wanted a Comet or a Falcon. If I would have found a Dart, that's what I'd be sitting in right now. If I would have found a Nova, I'd be sitting in that right now. So the reason I bought the Falcon was because it was a great deal. We are sitting in a car with tax and title in hand, all notarized, complete, for $1,000. I mean, that is almost unheard of these days. So, for a good solid project anyway. Of course, some people might look at the car and think, wow, it's garbage. I don't look at it as garbage. I look at this car as a clean slate and 100% opportunity to do whatever I want with it. And what am I going to do? First of all, I am going to take the same route I did with the Chevelle when I was 14 years old. You don't lay out much cash. It just takes a lot of motivation and drive and passion for old cars to get the work done. And I'm going to get it on the road first because that's what any kid or young adult on a budget would do. The worst thing you can do is buy a car like this, put it in the garage, and then just say, you know what, I'm going to save up for paint. Because more than likely, the motivation won't be there, and that's where that car is going to sit. So we're going to first get it on the road, make sure the engine's running well, make sure the trans shift's good, the rear doesn't make noise, all that good stuff, and that it starts and stops. And then we're going to drive it. Then what comes next? I think the car is going to just start to snowball and snowball and snowball, and that's fine because I'm just going to start putting budget caps on every step along the way. The goal for this car is to have a really, really awesome street strip car with an 8. It is going to be a small block Ford that's going in it. No LS single turbo garbage with this project. There's enough of that out there. This is going to be true to the roots, nostalgia build. So when I say nostalgic, I mean I might even sacrifice some horsepower by putting an old school intake manifold on and using old school building techniques and internal components that they would have used back in the early 60s to make this car run, rather than opening up the catalog and buying brand new stuff that is modern day performance components. I think that's just going to be a blast, because I really don't care how fast it ends up going as long as I'm having fun. So I'm either going to go the early BFX route, which would be the 289, fiberglass front fenders, bumpers, hood, or I'm going to go the modified production route, which would be the chrome bumpers, steel fenders, and hood, where you can run a hood scoop on the car. I'm not sure which direction to go there yet. I love either one. So that is the plan for this car. It will snowball over the years here, and I'm going to show everything on YouTube as I work my way along. The car does need a little bit of work with the floor pans, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do that stuff and how I approach it. But I'm also going to tell you and explain some alternative ways of doing things and fixing it when you don't have tools like a welder. Because, hey, I was a kid with absolutely no money and hardly any tools at one time, and I got my Chevelle on the road without having any fancy expensive tools. So I will explain some alternative methods that you can use too if you don't have those tools available to you. So follow along, everybody. I hope you like the Filthy Falcon. I hope you're as excited as I am, because I absolutely love this thing and I think it's a great deal, and I think it's also something that's very, very buyable to people just like you out there that are hunting for a project. So go out there, try to find a project, find one dirt cheap, and how about opening up your toolbox before you open up your wallet? So take care, everybody. Have fun. Stay safe. See you soon.